Without you guys, I would not be doing this. So, without further ado, I'm going to begin the top 10 list. Well, actually, this isn't a top 10 list. This is actually my top 30 Godzilla films. Now, I'm going to set some ground rules here first, okay? First off, this is my opinion. This is completely my opinion. This is not a end-all, be-all. This is the most best list ever, or whatever you want to say. I know that was grammatically incorrect. But this is my opinion. These are my thoughts on the films and all that stuff, okay? The second thing is, just before we go into the list, I am a Heisei fan. My favorite series is the Heisei series. So, you can pretty much predict that most of, in the top, I would say the top 5, top 10 movies of this top 30 list will mostly be Heisei films, okay? Just to let you know, alright? There's a lot of Showa fans out there, there's a lot of Heisei fans, there's a lot of Millennium fans, okay? Every list is going to be different, alright? And this is just my opinion, my list. Alright? So, without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so to start off, number 30, I gotta go with my least favorite Godzilla film out of the whole franchise, Godzilla's Revenge. Yes, Godzilla's Revenge to me is the worst Godzilla film. It's just completely devoid of any, I mean, you can get some enjoyment out of it, but I'm looking at these films in a very, I'm not looking at them in a nostalgic way. I'm looking at them very objectively, and Godzilla's Revenge to me is the worst film. Basically because the whole film is just a compilation of previous films with a little bit of new monsters. Well, the only new monster is Gabra, which no one really likes, you know, and just the kid is really annoying. The story doesn't, it's just a bully message movie. But overall, it's just bleh. Alright, at 29, I'm going to go with Godzilla 1998. Now, you're probably wondering, well, in your last, a super long time ago when I did my top 5 least favorite Godzilla films, Godzilla 1998 was actually the #1 spot. Well, I've grown up, I've matured a bit from that, and I've understood that Godzilla 1998, even though it was a big flop, I found a little bit of entertainment from it just because I looked at it as not that being Godzilla. That's not Godzilla, that's Zilla. But because this is Godzilla's top 30 films, Godzilla 1998 is 29 because if you are looking at it as a Godzilla film, it is complete garbage. It lacks everything that Godzilla's about. He gets killed by missiles, he runs away from the military, he doesn't have atomic breath. Everything about it is wrong. So that's why it's at number 29. Alright, 28, we're gonna go with Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, or Ibera, the Horror of the Deep. This film I just found completely boring. I like the monster himself, Ibra, I don't care about. The Godzilla suit I didn't really like also. The suit was just kind of derpy looking, it just didn't look good. And I just found the story boring. I mean, it just wasn't entertaining, it didn't really do anything for me. So that's really all I gotta say for Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Alright, at 27, Son of Godzilla. Now, this movie kind of has the fan base split from, they either really like it or they really hate it. I'm on the side where I really don't like it. The only thing I really like about the film is the music. The music's memorable. In fact, every Godzilla movie, including Godzilla's Revenge, I actually do enjoy the music. But the content in it, I really don't care for. The story's just blah. I got bored of it. I don't like Minya. I've never liked Minya. I think he's just a terrible looking monster. It doesn't look anything like Godzilla. Yeah, the movie just did not do it for me. So, yep. Alright, at 26, Godzilla Raids Again. Now, this was the second Godzilla movie in the whole franchise. This one was also in black and white. I would have liked it more if they would have kept it more traditional, if they would have kept it, had the same tone as in the first film, but they kind of went, Godzilla fought his first enemy, which was Anguirus, but the battles were very cheesy looking. They didn't slow down the footage. There was something they had I guess when they were making the film, they had a problem while they were filming it. They were gonna slow it down, but something happened with the film and it looked like it sped up or whatever. I don't know the whole story. But it just looked goofy, so when Godzilla was fighting Anguirus, it just looked like a bunch of puppets just, just going around. It was kind of silly, but overall the movie just didn't do it for me. Alright, at 25, Godzilla vs. Megalon. Now this film, you know, if I was working off of nostalgia and I was working off of childhood memories, I really do like this movie because when I was a little kid, I watched this movie all the time. But looking at it objectively, oh yeah, it's not one of the best Godzilla films, but I still can find a little bit of enjoyment of it just because I do like Megalon. I do think Megalon is a very awesome monster, and I feel like he needs to have a return. Alright, 24, we have Terror of Mechagodzilla. Now, I know a lot of people like this film. The music is great. It's from Akira Ifukube. MEGAGODZILLA74 is a really, you know, probably one of the most popular Mechagodzilla incarnations of the fan base. But for me, one, I didn't like Titanosaurus. I didn't really feel like he was a cool monster. I know a lot of you guys do, and that's fine. That's completely fine. Like I said, this is my opinion. You know, but it didn't have the fun for me like it did with the first film, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, and you guys will see where that will rank up. But I mean, overall, it wasn't completely bad. So, you know, it just was kind of meh for me. Alright, 23. Now I'm going to get a lot of Showa fans to hate me at this part. I'm going to say Destroy All Monsters. Yes, Godzilla Destroy All Monsters is at 23. It's not in the top 10, which a lot of Showa fans, you know, love Destroy All Monsters. They praise it for one of the best Godzilla movies ever. Now, me on the other hand, you know, I missed it. I'm not, you know, I wasn't a Showa, like I didn't grow up in the Showa era. I grew up in the Heisei era, hence the fact that I'm a Heisei fan. But when I watched Destroy All Monsters, there's not a lot of monster fights in it. There's not a lot of monster scenes. For a movie that's boasting about, ooh, you can see all these monsters, there's not a lot in it. You get a couple military action scenes, and then you get the final battle. Now, the final battle, though, on the other hand, that's where the movie gets really good, okay? You see all the monsters on one scene. I mean, like, that was awesome. The way they choreographed it, it was awesome. But the first half of the film, well, most of the film, it's a lot of just soldiers and scientific people talking, and it's just kind of boring. So, you know, Destroy All Monsters, it's not as epic as a lot of people would say, at least in my opinion. Alright, at 22, once again, a lot of Showa fans are going to hate me for this, but Mothra vs. Godzilla. This is mostly because of Mothra herself. I'm not a huge Mothra fan. Even though I saw the Rebirth of Mothra series, I got a little bit more respect for Mothra, but the rest of the film is fine, but just because Mothra's the enemy, and because the Mothra larva basically took out Godzilla, makes no sense to me. I don't understand how Godzilla can take out all these other monsters that he previously did, yet all of a sudden two little turrets can just run up and web him up and make him fall off a cliff. That doesn't make any sense to me. But the Godzilla suit, awesome. Probably one of his most ferocious designs. I have an X Plus figure of him. I love the suit. It's awesome. But, you know, Mothra, she's not my favorite kaiju, and that's why this movie's kind of on the top of the list. Alright, at 21, Godzilla vs. HEDORAH. Now, you know, what's weird about this film is it's one of those Godzilla films that you just look at it and you're just like, what am I watching? It's a really weird film. And for me, I like the film. I like HEDORAH. I think HEDORAH's a pretty cool monster. But it's such a trip watching this movie. You feel like you're on acid, which probably Toho was on acid doing drugs because it was the 70s when they were making this film. And there's just a lot of weird things that go into this movie. But you know, also the music's not really that memorable. But you know, overall, it's not that bad of a film, but you know, it's still on the high part of my list. Alright, number 20 is going to be Godzilla vs. GIGAN. Now, once again, this kind of has the same thing for me when it came to Godzilla vs. Megalon. I watched this movie a lot when I was a kid, but now that I've grown up and I'm watching these movies a little bit more objectively, Godzilla vs. GIGAN is definitely not one of the best, hence the fact that it's, you know, on the top side of this list. But I love it because it has King Ghidorah in it, and it has Gigan. Gigan's one of my all-time favorite monsters of Godzilla, and Godzilla's with Anguirus. It's a tag team battle with them. Mostly, I mean, I watched this film mostly for the fight scenes. The human scenes are forgettable. Like the freaking aliens are cockroaches. It's really weird. It's still in the 70s. This was 1972 when it came out. But mostly this movie's the price of admission is worth it just for the fight scene at the end. That's where the movie really kicks ass. Alright, at number 19, this is actually a little bit of a surprise. This is actually Godzilla vs. Mothra Battle for Earth from the Heisei series. Now, this is actually the only Heisei film that is my least favorite film in the series. One, because I don't, because Mothra, I'm sorry, but it's like, Mothra is the main opponent in this, but the thing that makes this movie great is Batra. I swear, that is the only thing that saves this movie for me, is Batra. If Batra wasn't in it, this movie would be way higher on the list. Or it'd be more lower, I guess, if you want to say. But it's... Batra just makes the movie. Just the design, even when he turns into the moth form, he's still awesome looking, and his theme song is just, oh, it's one of the best themes in the Heisei series, and I got to hear it live at the Akira Fukube concert at G-Fest, and oh my god, it was amazing. So, but still, my least favorite Heisei film, hence the fact that it is number 19. Alright, number 18, we have Invasion of the Astro Monster. Now, this film, you know, I was so stupid when I first started this channel. I basically said in my top least favorite Godzilla films, I put this film in that list, and I said that it was basically the same thing as Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. It's not! It actually has a completely different storyline. Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster didn't have, like, it didn't have the same things that Invasion. It had a completely different storyline, but it still didn't do much for me. Once again, the fight scene is the best part of the movie. The humans I just don't really care for. The music's really good, but it's really just the monster scenes that I like watching. But other than that, it was just, you know, it was just, alright. Alright, number 17, we have Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. So it's a little bit above, just because there's more monsters. Mothra's in it, which is kind of ironic because I don't really like Mothra that much, but just the way that this film was done, I felt was a little bit better than Invasion of the Astro Monster. It had a little bit more of a serious tone to it, and it just didn't seem like... It was just awesome. I mean, and this was when Ghidorah was first introduced, or Ghidorah, however you want to pronounce him. And just this awesome beast that Godzilla has to team up with Rodan and Mothra to kill him. It's just like, oh, it's so good. So that's why it is number 18. Alright, at number 16, now we're getting into some Millennium movies. We have Godzilla Tokyo SOS. Now, when I was little, I actually really liked this film, but now when I'm watching it again, it's actually not as entertaining as I thought it was. It lacks fun. This movie doesn't have the fun factor in it, especially in the last battle. The final battle was pretty boring, but the one thing that saves it is actually the characters. Ironically, I actually like the character scenes more than I do the actual fight scenes in this Godzilla movie. I love the characters, I love the Kiryu storyline, I guess is what I want to say. And the music was just awesome, and also it is the best looking Godzilla film, because this was the film before Final Wars came out, but Final Wars kind of had a lower, it just looked less good than Tokyo SOS, and I don't even know if that was grammatically correct, but still, Tokyo SOS, I really like the story, and the production value is really good. Alright, number 15, we have Godzilla vs. MEGAGUIRUS. Now, this film's a little bit higher because the fight scene was really awesome. I don't necessarily like MEGAGUIRUS, and I think I just have a problem with flying monsters. I think that's my issue. I think I just don't necessarily like flying monsters. I kind of just, I don't know, I like monsters that are on the ground, and, you know, and they can get, you know, in like a good fight, but, MEGAGUIRUS I didn't really like, but once again, the characters, the story, it's kind of an underrated Godzilla film. And also the music was, basically, I don't remember the composer, but I know it starts with an M. She basically made the new, like, sound for Godzilla in the Millennium series. She's basically she's just as good, I mean just a little bit under, but she's just up there with Akira Fukube with making memorable themes. And and also this film's fun, it's just a fun film. Alright, at number 14 we have Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Now this film, this is one of the most awesome Godzilla films when he fights Mechagodzilla. This also introduced King Caesar in it, and this film I find more entertaining than Terror Mechagodzilla. Just because Mechagodzilla 74 just has more of a presence in it, he's more of a driving force in this, because in Terror Mechagodzilla he kind of took a step back and let Titanosaurus do all the work. But this one was really awesome. He beat the crap out of Godzilla also. I mean, there was just, Godzilla he got wrecked. Blood everywhere on him, but, you know, he eventually defeats him. But also the story I find really awesome, and, yeah, there's really nothing else I can say. It's just one of the finest Godzilla movies where he fights Mechagodzilla. Alright, so number 13 we